Hey guys, today Austere August is coming to a close in maybe 2 more days, 3 more days, something like that. Let's step back to a bowl lather with all the normal gear I've been using this month. B35 from Zenith, boar brush, chubby, stubby kind of loft settings with that one. What is this? Timeless, open comb, 68 gap, stainless steel razor. The Nacet is at about 528 uses, something like that. Chisel Face Midnight Stag is the soap splash and cologne for all of this month. And he is dying. He is getting low. I need to remove some of these bristle hairs here. Boar bristles. And he's got a little bit of residual moisture from the past couple of shaves, being the slurry lather method, which uses and loads with a pretty wet brush. I've had the brush soaking for a while, and today let's switch gears because I haven't really done it all month. Do a normal, kind of my normal bowl lather with this setup, and let's just see what happens, right? So let's show you the blade, which I left in the razor. You know, I vent the razor and cap here, and then I shake it out, run a lot of water through it, just to show you kind of the etchings and markings to identify the blade there. And then I just leave it partially open after shaking out the droplets of water and just let it dry there. What did all of a sudden I've got all these hairs that are, I didn't trim my mustache or anything. And so it's very, very weird. I don't know what's going on. All right, so we're gonna load, and but before we do that, I'm gonna splash my face with water just to kind of soften up my beard. Yeah, all month I have been kind of playing around with the slurry lather method or a couple of other methods that were similar, and haven't done my normal typical bowl lather method. So lightly wet brush is usually what my normal is. So I'm gonna be more vigorous as I shake out the water. Not as much water as with the slurry lather method for sure. Yeah, there we go. And let's do 10 or 12 swirls. Just as a guess here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Let's see if 12 picks up enough soap. We did start to get a little bit of suds, happen there. Let's just see if that's enough. Now, yeah, I've done my normal bowl lather method in the past, especially with Austere August, and with repeated use, as I've told you guys many times, on the same soap, then you do get a reduction in the need for the load time. And you can see we've definitely got some froth popping up, so I'll bet we loaded enough. When I'm face lathering just the tips of this brush, you don't really feel the backbone as much. Matter of fact, that backbone comes in handy because the tips are actually quite soft, and the backbone keeps it from flopping around. And that's step one of the slurry lather method. But now that I'm back in the bowl here, I can feel that backbone. I can feel the support behind the knot. So already we've got kind of an early lather here forming. You know what I actually meant to do was come at the loading process with a lot more water in the brush, like a slurry lather method amount, instead of my actual normal. And so because then it doesn't make it as easy for you guys to duplicate the process. Oh yeah, look, we're getting richer. It's drier. This is typical because I haven't started adding water. And I haven't shown you guys my jigger all month because I haven't needed to add water this way. And it's getting kind of softer and cloudier, you know, puffy round clouds instead of, you know, jagged peaks, that sort of thing. This is a base that I don't take as wet in terms of the lather itself. I don't take it as wet as I normally would because it's just not a base that seems to have been designed to hold as much water and stay kind of lightly creamy like a lot of the newer bases are. And some of the better performing soaps of the past history, you know, like the fine classic pucks, Tobacco, Mitchell's Wool Fat, that sort of thing. You know, just being new is not the only thing that makes it great. But this one I have to run it a little drier than I might normally. So I need to remember that as I'm putting this lather together. Maybe a little bit more water, and I bet we'll use it. Because if I do take it to where it's just kind of all like that all the time, then it's not really very creamy at all, and it's almost breaks down. It gets the job done, but it doesn't have a sense of luxury because there's just not as much substance to it. All right, let's take a look now that I've mixed it more. Yeah, see, that's a little bit more firm than what I showed you a second ago. Then the reason I showed it to you a second ago was because I knew that part of it was going to be more wet than other parts of the lather because it wasn't quite mixed all the way. So we are, I've got tons of lather here, so I didn't need to load quite to that 12-second mark as it turns out. Get my face wet again. And I've been using this Lancaster towel this month because I just got it in. And it's really kind of different. I just use it to kind of wipe my hands after I've rinsed them, you know, because your hands get wet during the course of the shave. And I haven't really used it in a normal bowl lathering shave, so we'll see if there's any difference or not. So immediately, we don't have that experience with the slurry where we need to be tips only. We can press a little bit. Now we're going to focus on the old principles of scrubbing and cleaning the skin of dirt and things like that. I can feel the backbone here. I'm glad I chose this brush for the month because I definitely wanted to put more uses on it. But I do look forward to my more luxurious brushes. Working the lather into the skin to help it protect during the shave. All right. This towel is so absorbent that it very quickly, just with kind of a dab, lets lets me be able to move on to the next thing. So how much water did I add initially? And right now I'd say it's pretty much perfect lather for this formulation. 24 milliliters of water added. And here we go. If I did back off of the water, then it would appear thicker on my face. But then the razor might not move as easily because it would just be drier and a little bit less slick. The slurry lather definitely feels different. It's more slick with this base. I think because it lays down the soap right on the skin, and then it just has a ton of water because the brush is full of that water to surround it and help the soap do its job. Whereas here that soap is moved around in the lather. Pretty good feels there during the partial rinse. Not luxurious like with the slurry, but slick. I've long said that performance wasn't really the reason that I like Chiseled Face. It's his amazing and creative and manly sense. And the base is definitely good enough to do the job. Razor's moving a little better with this pass. I don't think it's only because the stubble is being removed. I think maybe it's like my face is receiving the lather a little better or something. I'm just going to skip the water rinse and go right for the next pass of lather. I've got another 3 passes in the bowl there. So I definitely can dip back in and get some more. And now cross grain for the 3rd time. Razor moving nicely. No irritation or anything like that. A little bit of residual slickness left behind, not tons, but enough to, where I can buff around pretty well. And that'll do it. So I'm going to open up the razor a little bit and give it a water run through. And then good final rinse here. So what I had today, the lather, was pretty typical of what Chiseled Face, their original tallow base, usually gives me. And that's part of the reason why the slurry method, when I discovered it, was a big discovery, is because that initial slickness that I felt after that first pass, and then in the rinses between each of the passes, I kept feeling a next level kind of slickness. And so that's what led me down that path to say, hey, what's up with this? Why is this giving me this kind of slickness when I don't get it with this kind of lather that you're seeing me make today? And I think, as I've mentioned in previous days, I think it's relating to the fact that here with a more normal, mature kind of lather, the soap is being split up and divided amongst the water and the air, and so it just is different. It's spread out more. When I have a really wet brush that has that initial slurry on it and I just use the tips, then the soap has just been loaded on those tips, and so we're putting the soap directly on the face. And so that, I think, is why it's different. The slurry lather method gets more soap on the face, but that's mitigated because of the excessive amount of water that's also in the brush. And that makes the two things work. Kind of keeping them separate, and the water is helping the soap to not take on some of the negative aspects of too much concentrate, too much soap, which would be dryness on the skin, that sort of thing. That dryness slows your razor down, doesn't protect as much, that sort of thing. But the excess water that's around it lets that soap sit on the skin and be ultra slick. The water protects and nourishes and keeps it from drying out, and so you get this wonderful movement, that sort of thing. But if you were to keep mixing it, then you start to distribute that soap. I think some of it still kind of remains attached to your skin. That's why in the slurry lather method, I don't do full scale rinses. Now, I don't know if that's a big thing or not. I don't do just complete rinses until my face is squeaky clean. I just kind of splash water to get rid of the excess stubble that's kind of floating around, to rehydrate everything that's on my face, that sort of thing. And that may be a key to its success, because you're not taking away that soap that has been put on your skin. So anyway, today, a more normal lather, and you can see we're at 17 minutes and we're just now kind of finishing with the shave. So just to step back and experience the more typical shave scenario. I wanted to put that in this month as well. I've already told you how much water we used, and yeah, you can see how much lather's left over. Plenty enough for 2 or 3 passes, that's for sure. Yep. And I definitely wouldn't want to go any wetter than this. I could go maybe a touch drier, maybe. We'll let that kind of start filling up the bowl. That's too loud for you guys, though. Let's not do that. All right. So what I'm going to do is put the splash on Midnight Stag. The brush also didn't have as long of a soak time, so it wasn't as soft as it has been usually this month. Most days I was able to have it soak for 15 minutes or longer, and I have discovered that is sometimes a big difference, a noticeable difference in feel, especially with this big, wide brush that has so many bristles. It needs to be set in the best light possible. And then the cologne for Midnight Stag we have on hand as well. So now just to clean up the gear. And let's take this brush that has just been stropped on the towel and got a good rinse out of it. Let's give it the hair dryer treatment. And here we go. Again, not getting it dry, not wanting the tips to be crispy, still plenty of moisture down here at the root, and low setting, low speed, just kind of taking the edge off, and you can definitely tell a difference. And we've got plenty of split tips, but plenty more to go. So it'll be fun to keep watching this brush as I even after this month ends. So I believe that's it for today. Just kind of a fun little bowl lather in my usual style before this slurry lather thing started to capture my attention and curiosity. You guys, this is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Take care. Good night.